Alright, so today we're going to talk about the emergency brake in the Nissan. Now, my emergency brake is exceptionally soft. It doesn't operate the way it should. How you know that? Well, I guess for me it's really easy because I literally pull all the way back before it engages. The textbook definition for this exact car is 8 to 12 clicks under 44 pounds of pressure. Now, if you don't have like a luggage weight or anything like that, really you should be seeing a lot of pressure around 10 or 12 clicks. So if you just count the clicks, which I'll do now. Now, I went to 12 clicks and I barely put any pressure on it at all. I can go much further, so I'm going to keep going. So I get to about 16 or 17 before I really start getting some resistance. Now that's basically maxing out the handbrake itself. So at this point, I could actually get out of the car and still push the car around. It'll make a lot of noise and it'll squeal, but it will actually move. So not a terribly efficient e-brake. So what we're going to do is we're going to adjust the e-brake in this video today. Now what that involves is removing the cup holders. There's a little adjustment bolt that we need to loosen, and then the rest of the work is actually in the back underneath the tires. So you're going to need a jack, you're going to need jack stands, and probably wheel chocks. So we're going to want to do wheel chocks underneath the front wheels to make sure that the car isn't rolling around when we have the ass end put up. So let's get started. Alright, so we're going to have to jack up the entire back end of the vehicle, and I'm going to do that actually from the center off the differential. Before you do that, make sure that you actually break all of the lug nuts on the side that you're jacking up. So in this case, I'm going to do it on both because I'm jacking both up, but if you don't have a jack that you feel can handle the entire back end of the car, you have to do it one at a time. And then obviously just break the side that you're doing first before you lift, and then when you go back down, re-secure it before you go do the other one. But this one, I'm just going to go ahead and break. Alright, so we're ready to jack up the car. I loosened the lug nuts on both rear tires. I put a wheel chock in the front of the front wheels, and I also put the car into reverse to stop it from moving forward, which is really what we're worried about. So I'm going to go ahead and lift this up. I put the jack on the differential, which I'll show you here with my second camera, that I put it in the front of the differential, not where the seam is of the actual back where you'd empty oil and such. So now we're ready to jack it up and take the wheels off. Alright, now you want the actual weight of the vehicle on the jack stands. I went ahead and put the jack stands right underneath the leaf springs. There's a big plate there. Just center them inside of that plate, and then you can kind of lift them up. And then I did the other one as well, right here. And now we're going to actually lower our jack. So we don't want the weight of the vehicle on the actual jack. We want the weight of the vehicle on the stands. So slowly let it down, and then you'll obviously know when it comes. There you go, perfect. Now we don't need to jack the car to the sky, just get enough room where you can actually pull the wheels and tires off, and that's all you need to do this job. Alright, now inside the vehicle, there's really not a whole lot to do right away. All you need to do is loosen what they call the adjusting nut on the actual e-brake itself. So to do that, it's actually very simple. Get this out of the way here. Pull out your cup holder liners. Alright, now this whole unit, just the cup holder, should pop right out. You shouldn't have to take any screws out for this. So you just lift on both sides. There you go, comes right out. Now the nut in question is right here. So that's what we're going to want to loosen. Just get that loose, pull it about halfway off, and then the rest is done at the wheels. Once the wheels are done, we come back, we put this back in place, we tighten it down, and job done. So I'm going to go back to the back wheels and we'll take a look at what needs adjusting. Alright, so with the wheel off, we're going to actually want to remove the rotor, which means we need to remove the caliper. Now, in the back of the caliper, I'll try to show you here. You have two good sized bolts here, one on the top and then one down here at the bottom. Now this is on the front of the car, or facing the front of the car, on the side of the caliper. So we want to take those two bolts off, and that caliper should slide out, and then we'll be able to remove our actual rotor. Now as you loosen the top bolt, I did the bottom first so the top can kind of hang. As you loosen it, just make sure that you hold the caliper in place as you take the bolt out. That way when it is loose, you're not dropping it and you're not putting any tension on the actual brake lines. There we go. Now there's enough room on this vehicle that you can actually just rest the caliper on the leaf spring. So you should be good doing that. Just make sure that it's not any, precariously perched, so to speak, and that you actually have some space on there. Make sure you don't lose these washers either. So each one of these bolts has a washer on the back. Mine fell off. Make sure that's there. And these were, looks like 19 millimeter. So make sure you have that going into it. Oh, and also the front was a 10 millimeter, but basically any small nut or bolt on this car seems to be 10 millimeters. So. All right, so here it is with the rotor assembly off, which is actually kind of a rotor drum combo. I wanted to mention a few things. Now, to get this off, this was kind of rusty, as you can see. It's not exactly new looking. I just took a soft-headed mallet, just a regular mallet, just gave it a few hits around the actual bolts, around the hub, and then it popped right off for me. So what we're actually looking at here, let me get my other camera going. First few things. Here are your brake shoes. Now, obviously, when you're to this point, you want to look at the shoes, make sure they're in good quality. You don't want to make sure that they're falling apart or that you see any grooves or any cracking. These all seem to be pretty good. They don't seem to be anywhere on them all. Actually, they look really decent. Also, look at the inside of your rotor and, or excuse me, the drum, and then the rotor here. But in the inside of the drum, make sure there's no scrapes or any obvious issues there. You should have a nice clean surface on it. And then honestly, what we're looking for now is on the side of the rotor. Now it's actually right here, and there's a little star nut bolty thing that will adjust the actual brakes themselves. So turning it one way will expand the brakes, and then turning it the other way will actually pull them away. This is a way to adjust them, making sure that they're not contacting while the vehicle's driving. You don't want that, obviously, but also so that they're not so far away that when you do engage the brake, they don't do anything, which is actually really my problem. So the goal here is to expand these a little bit, make sure that the measurement is right. Now, I'm going to do kind of a trial. So you basically just kind of fit it, adjust it, fit it, adjust it, kind of back and forth, and make sure that it seems like it's at a good place and it still rotates. What you should do, if you have the proper tools to do it, is actually have a tool here that measures this distance, and then you obviously want to measure it up here and match it with just a little bit of give, so the drum will still rotate around the brakes without actually engaging them. I don't have that tool, so I'm going to just kind of do, like I said, adjust it, put it on, see if it works, and then keep going until I feel like it's at a good place. So we'll adjust and we'll keep going, and I'll let you know if there's anything to mention here. All right, so there we go. Now, one thing I wanted to mention is that pulling it towards you actually widens it, and pushing it away makes it smaller. So just so you know, that's how it's going to be adjusted. Now, it's probably going to be the same on the other side. Obviously, this will be in the front, so it may be opposite. I'll double check, but it should be the same. So again, away or towards you to make them wider, away from you to make them closer together. So I put mine on, and one notch back, making them wider, was giving me a lot of noise. And this way is not. I don't have any rubbing at all. So now on to the next one. All right, on the other side, I'm going to repeat the same process. Get the caliper off, get the rotor drum off, and then start adjusting. All right, so on this one, you push it to make it closer to you, pull it to make it further away. So I'm going to adjust this one and then keep moving. All right, so that's it. Now, one quick note, when you're working with these, a good recommendation is that if you do see a lot of grime, like on this one, it actually looks pretty bad as far as cleanliness. Go ahead and just get some brake parts cleaner. Clean them off before putting back on. Clean the drum, the rotor, and just make sure they're all clean is all. And then before you put the calipers back on, when we reverse all this, you want to ensure that you take a look at those brake pads because if they're bad, obviously now is the perfect time to replace them. Just putting them in and obviously putting them back on. So definitely a good thing to look at. Mine are actually in great condition. The pads look nearly new. So I'm going to clean this one, put it back together, and then we have to adjust the actual handle itself, and then we're done. All right, we have nice clean brakes, nice clean rotor, and we're ready to reassemble. All right, so once you have the bolts back in, holding in the caliper, you're going to want to put a little bit of pressure on them. Good amount, obviously, because it's holding your brakes onto your actual wheel and tire, so kind of important. So get on there, put a little bit on it, and then that way you don't have to worry about your brakes coming off. All right, now just like the opposite of taking them off, you do not want to crank on them while it's up here. So just get them tight enough so that the wheel sits straight, and then once you drop it, it's when you can really put some weight on it and get them torqued down. All right, on to the other side. All right, now the last thing you should have to do is readjust your nut up front and then reassemble everything. So I'm gonna finger tighten this as much as I can. Okay, so far so good. Now you'll notice when I'm tightening this down, my actual handle to the brake is going down with it. So if I go like this, kind of see it moving. Pretty minute, but hopefully you'll see it here. Great. Let's take a look. All right, it's actually a lot deeper than it was previously. So we're gonna do a test pull here. All right, it's better, but it's still pretty loose. So I'm gonna keep going and tightening that down. Right. Let's see how we look here. All right, pull that. Ooh, much, much better. So let's count that. All right, little tiny bit more here. We should be good. All right, now count them again. Ah, almost there, very good. So, a few more turns. Perfect. Now, that was about 12, but I had to put quite a bit of pressure on it. And I don't know if you remember, but the handle was back here last time. So the handle's actually sitting correctly, and the brake is presumably going to work, but I'll test that and let you know. All right, so everything's put back together. I have my cup holder liners in, all important. And I tested the handbrake a few times, and it seems to be operating just fine. So very happy to report that my car is going to stay in its spot wherever I leave it. Thanks for watching, and as always, if you have any questions, comments, or recommendations, put them in the comments below. Talk to you soon.